Hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Ask the HR Expert. So today I am doing a two-part series. So this will be on the top 10 tips for managers and more specifically new managers. So in this video, I will be covering items 1 through 5. So the first tip that I have is understanding anti-discrimination and harassment laws. So you as a manager need to understand both the federal laws as well as the state laws for all areas that you have employees. And it's also important that you understand your company policies and what to do as a manager and what your responsibilities are as a manager if an employee brings forward a complaint of either discrimination or harassment for you. Now, the second one is the American with Disabilities Act. You need to understand what you can and cannot do when it comes to the Americans with Disabilities Act. So some things that you should stay away from would be asking an applicant if they have a disability when they're in a job interview, or not providing someone with an opportunity because of a disability, or even making assumptions on what the person can or cannot do because of this perceived disability. Now, what you can do is clearly define the essential functions of the job and ask that individual during an interview process if they feel they can perform these essential functions of the job. And if at that point they say that they can, but they need a reasonable accommodation to do so, then it is your responsibility as an employer to provide that reasonable accommodation. Now, number 3, the third tip would be to make sure that you are providing your employees with one-on-one time with you as their manager. And this should be whether it be weekly or monthly or bi-weekly, whatever you and your employee feel is appropriate, it really should be treated as sacred time. So that employee knows that they have your undivided attention during this time on their calendar. I would recommend that you provide a set format for the agenda, but really let the employee come to the meeting with their agenda items. And this is also a great opportunity for you to provide feedback on a regular basis to this employee, but you also need to be open and willing to receive feedback from your employee at this time as well. The fourth tip is to learn and practice active listening skills. So make sure that you're providing eye contact when you are having these one-to-one meetings with your employees. Don't be sitting there with your back turned to them, typing on your computer, distracted. They need to know that you are actually listening to what they have to say and that you feel that whatever they're sharing with you is important. So making that eye contact is very important. Also, make sure that you're looking for the nonverbal cues when you're speaking with your employees. This can really help you understand if there's some underlying frustration with your employee that maybe they're not sharing with you. And then the last thing is to be a boss, not a friend. This can be very challenging for some new managers, specifically if they've been promoted into a management position and the individuals that they're now managing have been their peers in the past. So you really need to draw the line at this point and set that expectation with your employees that you need to be able to manage them appropriately, manage their performance appropriately, and in order to do so, that personal relationship that you had at a friendship level does need to change. So I hope you have found these top 5 tips to be helpful, and then join me back later for the rest of the items to top out our top 10. Thank you again for joining me for Ask the HR Expert.